This is the September-October 2017 issue of the BVA Bulletin, Volume 72, Number 5. The newly elected national president of the Blinded Veterans Association is Joe Parker of Pisgah Forest, North Carolina. Paul Mims of Kansas City, Missouri is the newly elected national vice president. The national secretary is Joseph McNeil of Columbus, Georgia, and the national treasurer is now Daniel Wallace of Cape Coral, Florida. Serving as district directors from Districts 1 to 6 are the following: Dennis O'Connell of Long Beach, New York, representing District 1, David Fox of Kettering, Ohio, representing District 2, Vernon Richmond of Haw River, North Carolina, District 3, Geneseo Morrow of Gilbert, Arizona, District 4. Paul Kaminsky of Middleburg, Florida, represents District 5, and Dr. Thomas Zampieri of Pearland, Texas, works on behalf of the BVA membership in District 6. Dale Stamper of Hayden, Idaho, is the association's immediate past national president. Additional appointed officers are Bishop J. L. McLeod of Hampton, Virginia, national chaplain, and Monica Gilmore of Rocky Mount, North Carolina, national sergeant at arms. Joe Burns of New Orleans, Louisiana, and Dr. Donald Gagliano of National Harbor, Maryland, are both honorary members of the association's board of directors. Blinded Veterans Association auxiliary officers include the following: President Sandy Krasnodemsky of Allen Park, Michigan, Vice President Pam Hogan of Canyon Country, California, Secretary Benjamin Holmes of Midland, Georgia, and Treasurer Carl Heitinen of Seekonk, Massachusetts. Edna Kirksey Dixon of Bay Minette, Alabama, serves as the auxiliary reporter and has provided the Auxiliaries View column for this issue. BVA's national headquarters staff members are Executive Director Al Avina, Administrative Director Bridget Jones, National Field Service Program Director Edward Eckroth, and Chief Financial Officer Kathy Rouet. The Director of Government Relations is Melanie Brunson. The National Field Service Training Coordinator is Wade Davis. The Human Resource Specialist for the headquarters is Chrissy Spence Gilbert, and the Membership Coordinator is Cecilia Montenegro. BVA's full-time National Field Service Resource Center staff members are Richard Lane, Patrick Johnson, Hallie Smith, and Asiya Kadri. The BVA National Headquarters is located at 125 Northwest Street, Alexandria, Virginia, 22314. Each full-time headquarters staff member can be reached by dialing 202-371-8880 or toll-free 1-800-669-7079, and by then following prompts that connect the caller to the correct department and individual. Email communication will be forwarded to the appropriate recipient when sent through BVA's general email address, bva@bva.org. The organization's combined federal campaign number remains 10513. The BVA Bulletin is published bi-monthly by and for all blinded veterans. There is no charge to receive the print version of the publication, which is available upon request of the national headquarters to any interested individual or organization. Requests for multiple copies will be honored whenever possible. An audio compact disc version is mailed to annual and life members upon specific request. The audio version is also accessible via the BVA website. Contents of this issue of the Bulletin include the following articles: Legislative Update by Melanie Brunson, President's Page by Joe Parker, Innovation Instruction Highlight 72nd Convention by Chelsea Dumond, Technological Advances on Full Display in Jacksonville by Humberto Rodriguez, Around BVA, Auxiliaries View by Edna Dixon, New and Improved JAWS by Humberto Rodriguez, Hurricane Harvey and the District 6 Director Report by Thomas Zampieri, From the Field Staff by Ed Eckroth, Of Note, In Remembrance, and the customary final thought. The cover of this issue of the BVA Bulletin contains 3 photos with the following caption: On August 18, BVA celebrated the achievements of 3 of the organization's stalwarts by recognizing them with its highest annual awards. Left, Dale Stamper presents Kenan Horn of the Sooner Regional Group with the Melvin J. Moss Award for Professional Achievement. Middle, Leonard Pope of the New Jersey Regional Group receives Irving Diener Award for contributions to his regional group and BVA in general. Right, Dennis O'Connell of the New York Regional Group is the recipient of the David Schnarr Award for dedicated voluntary service. Additional highlights of the BVA 72nd National Convention in Jacksonville, Florida are included in this issue. Legislative Update by Melanie Brunson. The regular thumbnail head and shoulders color photo of Melanie accompanies her column as always. She is depicted in the photo with dark glasses, earrings, and a serious pose. There is no accompanying caption. Two additional photos accompany the legislative update in this issue. At the end of the section, entitled Legislative Executive Actions Bring Unprecedented Change, a photo appears which was taken in a hotel meeting room at the 72nd National Convention. It features Melanie Brunson Center in a yellow shirt and beige slacks, with her guide dog Sparta at her side. Melanie is addressing the Legislative Affairs Educational Session at the BVA 72nd National Convention. A third and final photo accompanying the legislative update appears at the very end of the article. The photo is of the members of BVA's Board of Directors with former interim Deputy Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Scott Blackburn, after the President's dinner at the 72nd National Convention. Left to right, Scott Blackburn, Mark Cornell, Joe Parker and guide dog Josie, Dale Stamper, Vernon Richmond, Genesee Amaro, Paul Mims, Joe McNeil, Paul Kaminsky, Al Avina, Dennis O'Connell, David Fox, and Tom Zampieri. All board members are dressed in business attire with their service caps and white canes. The BVA flag and American flag can be seen in the background. The text of the legislative update begins with the following. Legislative executive actions bring unprecedented change. In a flurry of activity before heading out of Washington for their August recess, members of the U.S. House of Representatives and the Senate took action on several bills that contain sweeping changes to programs for veterans. These changes include a major expansion of the post-9/11 GI Bill, an overhaul of the process for appealing decisions made on claims for benefits, and an extension of the Choice Program that allows veterans enrolled in the VA healthcare system to obtain care from community providers at VA's expense. All of these bills enjoyed broad bipartisan support in Congress before the President signed them into law. Additional details regarding the aforementioned legislation are worthy of note. GI Bill expansion. The Harry W. Colmery Veterans Educational Assistance Act of 2017, also known as the Forever GI Bill, contains sweeping changes to the educational benefits available to post-9/11 veterans under the GI Bill as most recently constituted. The most significant of these changes is the elimination of the arbitrary 15-year period within which veterans are required to use their GI Bill benefits. Now veterans can use these benefits at any time in their professional careers. The bill also provides increased educational assistance to student veterans who pursue programs of study in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM, fields, as well as computer programming, technical or vocational training. In addition, the bill also provides GI Bill eligibility for reservists mobilized under selected reserve orders for pre-planned missions in support of the combatant commands or in response to a major disaster or emergency. Provides GI Bill eligibility for reservists undergoing medical care. Restores benefits to student veterans who received credits or training from certain educational institutions that have closed their doors. Provides full GI Bill benefits for Purple Heart recipients, regardless of length of service. Extends Yellow Ribbon Program benefits to Frye Scholarship recipients to help cover the costs of attending private universities. And increases GI Bill payments by $2,300 per year for veterans with fewer than 12 months of active service. Appeals process reform. The Veterans Appeals Improvement and Modernization Act of 2017 creates 3 separate paths from which veterans can choose when they are dissatisfied with and want to appeal a decision by the Veterans Benefits Administration on their claims for VA benefits. The legislation would also allow certain veterans already going through the appeals process to opt into the new system. It would further require VA to provide a comprehensive plan for both implementing the new system and processing the current backlog of existing appeals. The options that will now be available to veterans wishing to appeal decisions on their claims will include an opportunity to seek a higher-level review by a VA regional office on the same evidence presented to the original claims processors, a means for filing a supplemental claim that would include the opportunity to submit additional evidence to the regional office, an appeal directly to the Board of Veterans' Appeals, resulting in a possible hearing and/or the opportunity to submit additional evidence. Veterans Service Officers would be able to help individual veterans determine which option is likely to bring the best result in the least amount of time, based on the nature of the latter's individual claim and the evidence supporting it. Therefore, readers who have questions about the potential impact these changes may have on their particular claim may wish to contact BVA's Field Service Resource Center. Extending the life of VA's Choice Program. In June 2017, the VA Secretary reported that the CHOICE program, which allows certain veterans who are enrolled in the VA health care system to obtain their care at non-VA clinics at VA expense, faced a major cash shortage. The House and Senate came together to approve legislation to fund this program and ensure that veterans who need it would continue to have access to care from facilities in their own communities. Known as the VA Choice and Quality Employment Act of 2017, the bill also authorizes 28 major medical facility leases and puts in place reforms that strengthen VA's ability to recruit, train, and retain a top-notch workforce. The 28 major medical facility leases authorized in the VA Choice and Quality Employment Act of 2017 include Ann Arbor, Michigan, Birmingham, Alabama, Boston, Massachusetts, Charleston, South Carolina, Corpus Christi, Texas, Daytona Beach, Florida, Denver, Colorado, Fredericksburg, Virginia, Gainesville, Florida, 2 leases, Hampton Roads, Virginia, Indianapolis, Indiana, Jacksonville, Florida, Missoula, Montana, Northern Colorado, Ocala, Florida, Oxnard, California, Pike County, Georgia, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Portland, Maine, Raleigh, North Carolina, Rochester, New York, San Diego, California, Santa Rosa, California, Tampa, Florida, Lakeland, Tampa, Florida, Terre Haute, Florida, and Rapid City, South Dakota. Additional legislation, future VA funding. Several additional pieces of legislation that could have a significant impact on veterans await congressional action, most notably legislation to provide funding for VA during fiscal year 2018. At press time, current funding for the federal government was slated to run out on September 30th. It is not clear whether members of Congress and the White House will be able to reach agreement on a budget for the next fiscal year. However, they have passed another continuing resolution that would keep funding at current levels through December 10th, 2017. In addition to reporting on developments in the next bulletin, we will also post additional information on social media sites as well as via our legislative email list as the direction of these developments becomes clearer. Please feel free to check online or contact us at BVA National Headquarters for more information. President's Page by Joe Parker. A thumbnail head and shoulders black and white photo of Joe accompanies his column. He is depicted speaking into a microphone wearing a white navy dress coat with black bow tie, BVA National Officer cap, and sunglasses. Another photo appearing at the end of the article depicts Joe Parker, center, wearing full Navy dress uniform and a BVA National Officer's cap. He is reaching out to receive the ceremonial presidential gavel from past National President Dale Stamper at the awards banquet during the 72nd National Convention. Dale is to the right of Joe, wearing a dark suit, white shirt, and tie, holding a microphone in his left hand as he smiles and hands the gavel to Joe with his right hand. Pictured left is Joe's wife, Maureen Parker, in a patterned skirt and dark blouse, applauding. The photo was taken shortly after Joe's official swearing in as BVA's new national president for 2017-2018. The text of the President's Page begins with the following. This, I hope, is the most difficult article I will write during my tenure as national president of BVA. As I received the gavel at the 2017 awards banquet, I had no idea of the difficulties I was to face. Yes, I was in attendance at the BVA board meeting when we accepted the proposal of reducing the staff in order to bring out budget into a reasonable attempt to balance the budget. Without revealing anyone's vote, I will state that the BVA Board of Directors spoke with one voice for the proposal and, as required, was presented to the BVA membership for their approval. This also passed with a voice vote and therefore was adopted. For all of you who did not attend the convention or were there and did not attend the business meetings or, for whatever reason, did not bother to attend or vote on the budget proposals, you must accept some of the responsibility for the outcome. The outcry from the membership has grown to a distraction from our mission of providing assistance to our fellow blinded veterans. This cannot continue if we are to be successful in our mission and obligation of our charter. We now have experienced 2 major catastrophic events that need our undivided attention. Both Texas and Florida, as well as Puerto Rico, have had major damage to their infrastructure and affects the lives of many of our blinded veterans. We need to turn our attention to the mission at hand and remember our cause, blinded veterans helping blinded veterans. BVA has collected several $1,000s for this relief effort and can use all the donations from its members to support this effort. This is a great way to get recognition for your regional group or chapter. I can only see good things happening to all those who decide to serve. Innovation, Instruction, Highlight 72nd Convention by Chelsea Dumont. This article includes 4 photos from the 72nd National Convention. First, a photo of the Wearable Device Panel, left to right, Enhanced Vision Director of Sales James Bailey, Army Bernal of IRA, CyberTimes CEO and co-founder Sean Tibbetts, and panel moderator Bill Bowles, vision rehabilitation expert. The second photo was taken just outside the BVA exhibit hall and includes BVA member Ronald White from the New York Regional Group, Center Daniel Sanchez, son of BVA member Enrique Sanchez, pictured right. The third photo is of Jae-Woo An, representative from the Mobiance Company. The caption reads, Jae-Woo An, representative from the Mobiance Company, demonstrates a small gadget enabling improved access to smartphones and devices to BVA's National Secretary Joe McNeil in the convention exhibit hall. The fourth and final photo included is of former Interim Deputy Secretary of Veterans Affairs Scott Blackburn, pictured with Angel Reyes Figueroa, left, and Cristela Torres, right, both BVA members from Puerto Rico. The photo was taken following the BVA President's Dinner at the 72nd National Convention. The full text of the article, entitled Innovation, Instruction, Highlight 72nd National Convention, reads as follows. The Blinded Veterans Association's 72nd National Convention has come and gone for another year. This year's capstone event can be summed up in 3 words: advocacy, education, support. Each component of this year's convention centered on those 3 takeaways. From the education sessions and the exhibit hall to legislative updates and field service claims, the BVA staff worked hard to serve each need of our veterans, their spouses, and their caregivers. The Hyatt Regency Jacksonville Riverfront provided an excellent venue as attendees experienced more than 55 exhibitors, remarks from local and national dignitaries, and even the occasional glimpse of a dolphin on the St. Johns River just outside. On Monday and Tuesday of the convention week, attendees were invited to attend an unprecedented number of education sessions. A basic and advanced skills course was offered on the Victor Reader Stream device, allowing attendees to gain hands-on experience with the device in small working groups. For those who were interested in service dogs, Southeastern Guide Dogs provided an education session outlining its program and then answering questions. Also on site was a representative from the Small Business Administration who explained all of the opportunities open to veterans who may already have a small business or who are interested in starting one. Monday wrapped up with exhibitor demonstrations by Crawford Technologies demonstrating their Voice-Eye application and a wearable devices panel featuring CyberTimes, Enhanced Vision, and the IRA device. While fighting off the rain on Monday evening, 40 convention attendees enjoyed a baseball game between the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp and the Mississippi Braves. While the home team lost the game by a large margin, attendees enjoyed the ballpark and even snapped a couple of photos with the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp mascot, Scampy. Tuesday sessions focused on regional group development with officer training, regional group fundraising, and a session led by the BVA Director of Government Relations. The latter focused on grassroots legislation and what a veteran can do in his or her area to make an impact. A representative from Florida Disaster was also on site to provide an education session on what to do in a disaster, followed by a session on deaf-blind communication led by BVA member and Helen Keller National Center Rehabilitation Specialist Mark Armstrong. Adding to the events, the exhibit hall at the 72nd National Convention was filled to capacity with more than 60 booths. A total of 14 new companies were featured, along with exhibit hall sponsors LS&S, LLC, Orcam, VFO Group, Inclusite, Mobiance, and eSite. Several governmental agencies were on site, including the Social Security Administration, National Library Service, the National Cemetery Administration, Vision Center of Excellence, Hearing Center of Excellence, VA Office of Research and Development, and the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. Fortuitous were the simultaneous meetings of VA Blind Rehabilitation Service personnel who also profited from the exhibit hall located directly outside their main meeting room. Tuesday evening wrapped up with the annual President's Reception sponsored by IRA, Envision America, and National Industries for the Blind. BVA attendees were joined by the Interim Deputy Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Mr. Scott Blackburn, who provided encouraging remarks on the state of the Department of Veterans Affairs and graciously met with individual veterans after the dinner. Wednesday morning opened with the 2017 opening session and a video from VA Secretary Dr. David Shulkin. Attendees were also joined by local Congressman John Rutherford, who spoke of his dedication to public service and our nation's veterans. The Director of Military Affairs and Veterans Department in Jacksonville, Mr. Bill Spann, joined the opening session on behalf of Jacksonville Mayor Lenny Curry, as well as Michelle Barth, the latter of whom provided remarks on behalf of Senator Bill Nelson. Feeling charged to advocate for the organization, BVA members delved into business meetings, followed in the evening with small focus groups for women veterans and a guide dog users group. Education led the way on Thursday morning with the BVA Forum. VA Director of Optometry Service, Dr. John Townsend, kicked off the event, followed by a very in-depth question-and-answer session with Gail Watson from VA Blind Rehabilitation Service. Also on site was Dr. Mosley Sheikh, Section Chief of the Department of Ophthalmology and Optometry with the Orlando VA Medical Center. Tim Doherty from the Veterans Health Administration and Winston-Salem, North Carolina VIS Coordinator David Hedrick rounded out the presentations. The standout on Thursday, however, was Michael Hudson of the American Printing House for the Blind as the keynote speaker for the Father Carroll Luncheon. Remarks by Mr. Hudson were moving, to say the least, and even BVA National President Dale Stamper claimed to be left speechless. At a time of change in the nation, Mr. Hudson provided a direction and motivation through the words of Father Thomas Carroll himself from a speech he gave at the Father Carroll Luncheon in 1969. Nearing the end of a decade of turmoil, Father Carroll boasted his words of anger and despair, of confusion and bewilderment, and called for a movement to end the fighting, end the hate, and find within ourselves a commonality and will for the common good. It was these words that Mike Hudson shared with attendees, and these words that speak to us in the same manner nearly 40 years later. At the Father Carroll Luncheon, BVA also presented certificates of appreciation for extraordinary service to Evelyn Cabrera Heatwole, Visual Impairment Services Team Coordinator at the Hunter Holmes McGuire VA Medical Center in Richmond, Virginia, and Kelly Golden, Blind Rehabilitation Outpatient Specialist at the Mann Grandstaff VA Medical Center in Spokane, Washington. Feeling charged with emotion from Thursday afternoon, BVA members opened Friday morning with the closing business meeting where a new board of directors was elected. Joe Parker, U.S. Navy retired, was voted in as the 41st BVA national president since the organization's founding in 1945. Joe will join Vice President Paul Mims, Secretary Joe McNeil, and Treasurer Daniel Wallace as the organization's national officers for the coming year. Other highlights of an exceptionally long closing business meeting was the passage by delegates and attendees of 21 resolutions or items of concern to BVA that affect the blind and visually impaired within local government jurisdictions, within the National Office of VA's Blind Rehabilitation Service, or because of an act of Congress. After a long week, several attendees took a guided tour of the Anheuser-Busch factory in Jacksonville. Those on the brewery tour experienced the aroma and heat that goes into making the craft beer while getting to sample them at the end. Friday evening closed with a BVA Awards banquet where the winners of the Melvin J. Moss, Irving Diener, and David L. Schneer Award were announced and new board members sworn in. Ken Horn of the Oklahoma Regional Group received BVA's highest honor for 2017, the Melvin J. Moss Award for Professional Achievement. The Irving Diener Award, which recognizes individual contribution to a BVA regional group or the national organization, went to Leonard Pope of the New Jersey Regional Group. Dennis O'Connell, New York Regional Group, received the David Schneer Award for outstanding service as a BVA volunteer. Regional Group Gold, Silver, and Bronze Gavel Awards were presented to the Rocky Mountain, Emerald Coast, and Florida Regional Groups, respectively. The Gold Gavel recognizes the group with the greatest numerical increase, the Silver, the largest percentage increase, and the Bronze, the greatest increase in numbers of members who have become active after having been designated as inactive. Although the heat was up on the last day of the convention due to a power outage in the area, literally and figuratively all attendees once enjoyed the camaraderie of longtime friends and new acquaintances. The BVA convention staff would personally like to thank all of those in attendance at the 72nd National Convention. A special thanks to Margarine Beeman as one who performs the tasks of many, from coordinator of volunteers at the airport to those on site within the hotel. Our convention would not be possible without her efforts. Thank you also to the volunteers who joined us on site and who took the time to care for and connect with our veterans and their families. To all of the sponsors and exhibitors, we thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise with our attendees and hope that you will continue to support the mission of the Blinded Veterans Association to leave no blinded veteran behind. Last, but certainly not least, a particular thank you to all of the veterans for your service and dedication to the organization. A convention is not possible without attendees. With your support and feedback, we can continue to improve and meet the needs of our blinded veterans. We hope that you will join us next year for our 73rd National Convention. The location and information will be released to all members as soon as it becomes available. Technological Advances on Full Display in Jacksonville by Humberto Rodriguez. This article includes 2 photos. Shown first, BVA member William Bates speaking with 2 representatives from eSight who are seen standing behind a table at their booth in the 72nd National Convention exhibit hall. The second photo is of a BVA attendee trying out a pair of glasses from Noir Medical Technologies, also pictured as a representative from Noir Medical, standing behind a table display of eyeglasses. The article, Technological Advances on Full Display in Jacksonville, reads, Mike Taylor had asked me to sporadically write articles for the Florida BVA newsletter, and I had agreed to do so, but was away visiting my son and family in Idaho, and upon my return much work had accumulated in my several hobbies, endeavors that keep me as busy in retirement as I was when I worked. Yesterday, however, my wife Miriam took me to the Hyatt Regency in Jacksonville to visit the fine exposition of many different vendors that, by virtue of being all in one place and ready to explain their respective products, make it easy for a gadget lover like me to stay current of technological advances. Thus, I greatly enjoyed chatting with representatives of technology I already use, reminiscing with Charles at the VFO booth, who had been with Ted Hunter when Hunter Joyce introduced JAWS for Windows, learning from the OrCam people that version 8 of the software is imminent and the improvements it will bring, even that it will be available in Spanish. Talk to the people of My Healthy Vet, APH, NLS, and many others whose products or services I already benefit from. Perhaps the most interesting part, however, is touching, trying out, learning about new products. Some I had no idea existed, others I had heard or read about but had not had the opportunity to touch, experiment, or try out. In the first category, I learned there is a product very similar to the Mini Guide, which, if you are not familiar with it, is a sonar-based handheld gadget that vibrates when you point it at something and the sonar waves bounce back, with higher intensity the closer you get to the object that makes the waves bounce. This new tool works similarly but has the advantage that you can clip it to your clothing, thus leaving your hands free. The range can be adjusted to 1, 2, or 3 meters. Does not seem to reach farther, as does the Mini Guide, something useful if you are in a desolate area in order to find in which direction a building lies. In the latter category, there were 2 products I knew about but had not touched or tried. The first one is a contraption that you put in your mouth, connected to a small device that you put on your belt, which is in turn connected to a camera on your glasses. When you look at an object, the sensor on your tongue vibrates in the same shape as the object, for instance. If you are looking at a circular object, you will feel a circular vibration on your tongue. If an object crosses from left to right in front of you, it will give you the sensation on your tongue of something moving from left to right. Something even more interesting, in my opinion, was the demonstration of Aira. I knew about it. I had participated in an online conference about it, but there I actually had the opportunity to try it out. If you're not familiar with Aira, it is a service wherein a live person describes through the telephone what you are looking at, a person of whom you can ask questions, chat with, a person that, I am sure, will make you feel secure even if, like me, you are totally blind, when you get off at Uber at a place new to you. They in fact have an arrangement with Uber. They will call a car for you, tell you when it approaches, help you with your surroundings when you get out of it. Aira is presently negotiating with the VA to make the service available to veterans for $29 a month for 400 minutes of use, according to the very nice girl that demonstrated it for me, something that surprised me, for I thought it was for only 200 minutes. They also offer unlimited service, but it is expensive. Without a doubt, despite all the aforementioned gratifying experiences, the best part of attending these events is human networking, meeting people one knows only virtually, talking again with all friends. The VA contracts me to visit veterans at their home or access their computers remotely if they are JAWS users, to help them with JAWS and other accessibility gadgets. The requests come from the VIST and BROS of Gainesville, Lake City, and Jacksonville. So it was indeed a pleasure when I found Judy Hayes there, my VIST coordinator and a close friend, who introduced me to Daria Wells and Lauren Brooks, VIST and BROS of Jacksonville respectively, both of whom I had maintained correspondence with and spoken on the phone, but had never met in person. In summary, although this was a national BVA convention and therefore larger than what we have locally, I wish to encourage each and every veteran to keep in touch with the BVA and its various activities, their respective VIST and BROS, to attend support groups whenever possible, to do everything reasonably within their reach in order to stay current with the geometric progression of changes, innovations, and discoveries that make our lives easier and more productive. It is our responsibility, since we are fortunate enough to have lost our eyesight as adults, to adapt to new circumstances, use all new technology available to us, and remain productive members of society, even in our retirement. Around BVA. Hurricane Relief Fund established for vets. The Blinded Veterans Association, BVA, a national veterans service organization exclusively dedicated to serving and representing the needs of the approximately 130,000 blind and visually impaired veterans and their families nationwide, seeks to help the more than 1,800 such veterans currently living in one of the worst tropical storm flood zones in American history. As rains finally dissipate and floodwaters subside, many of our veterans will still be caught in the aftermath of this crisis for quite some time, said BVA Executive Director Al Avina. We are already aware of several of them who have been displaced from their homes and communities, while some of them may need medical services that are currently not readily accessible. End quote. Avina said that many of the veterans with vision loss are also seniors who live in rural areas. Accordingly, BVA has set up a hurricane disaster relief fund to help the veterans who are currently struggling. We're asking all of our supporters throughout the nation for donations of any amount so that funds will be available to assist veterans in Puerto Rico, Texas, and Louisiana who are blind, visually impaired, or with disabilities that are in addition to their vision loss, he said. Donations can be made through Network for Good by visiting donatenow.networkforgood.org/1436199 CODE equals Harvey Relief. Now in its 73rd year of service and chartered by the United States Congress, BVA was founded by a group of 100 World War II veterans blinded in combat. Its mission is the creation of opportunities for blinded veterans to help one another. The organization offers a wide range of services to help veterans and their families meet the challenges of blindness. For more information about BVA and its services, call toll-free 800-669-7079 or visit bva.org. Life membership dues amounts returned to previous rates. A promotional life membership rate available to all prospective members of the Blinded Veterans Association, BVA, throughout much of the organization's fiscal year 2017 expired on August 1, 2017. The membership dues rates have returned to their previous schedule based on age and membership type. Delegates appointed by their respective regional groups to the BVA 72nd National Convention narrowly defeated a proposed bylaw amendment on August 18th that would have extended the discounted rate into the future. A similar proposed bylaw amendment passed in August 2016 offered life membership to all blinded veterans at a rate of $20. The Life and Associate Life membership rate prior to August 1, 2017, now restored and effective immediately, is $100 for veterans 44 years or younger, $88 for veterans 45 to 54 years of age, $75 for veterans 55 to 60, $63 for those 61 to 65, and $50 for veterans 66 and older. Annual membership dues, temporarily suspended last year, also returned to the previous rate of $15 per year, while a complimentary honorary life membership is available to World War II veterans. A payment option is also available for life memberships if they cannot be paid in one lump sum. Application forms in several formats, accompanied by an explanation of the qualifications for membership among the various membership types, are available on the BVA website. An explanation of the acceptable supporting documents is also provided. As part of the application process, just as was the case during the promotional dues period, the membership form sent to BVA must be accompanied by the following items on official Department of Veterans Affairs, VA, letterhead, or through Visual Impairment Services Team, VIST, Veterans Health Administration examination notes. Branch of service, beginning and ending dates of service, name of VIST coordinator, confirmation of meeting standards of blindness as follows: ICD-9-CM Diagnosis Code 369.4 Legal Blindness, or visual acuity of 20/200 or worse in the better eye with corrective lenses, or visual field restriction to 20 degrees diameter or less in the better eye. For more information about BVA membership, please contact Membership Coordinator Cecilia Montenegro at the organization's national headquarters, 202-371-8880, extension 315, or C. Montenegro, that's CMONTENEGRO, at bva.org. Blinded veterans select a new national chaplain. BVA is pleased to announce it has selected its new national chaplain, Bishop J.L. McLeod, from Hampton, Virginia. Mr. McLeod is licensed and ordained as a bishop and chaplain and is a FEMA-certified chaplain and able to go into disasters when called upon. He is also one of the original founders and the first chaplain of Alpha and Omega World Ministries. Chaplain McLeod is an honorably discharged disabled Army veteran and has chosen to make a difference through ministry, chaplaincy, and advocacy. The role of the BVA National Chaplain is to provide spiritual guidance and support to the blinded veteran membership at special events such as the national conventions, conducting devotional exercises such as invocations and benedictions during individual business meetings and formal social events. Chaplain McLeod hopes to enhance the duties for the chaplain position and to recruit and train other veterans and chaplains to build a national BVA chaplains program to serve veterans across the country. Chaplain McLeod will also be composing a bi-monthly Chaplain's Corner to be placed in each issue of the organization's official publication, the BVA Bulletin. The purpose of the Chaplain's Corner will be to promote unity and generate both motivation and enthusiasm to Bulletin readers. All National Board of Director positions within BVA are voluntary and uncompensated. The National Chaplain position is a board position that does not include voting rights. Travel and accommodations to the annual National Convention are the responsibility of the individual. The legendary position of BVA National Chaplain was occupied by renowned blind rehabilitation pioneer Father Thomas J. Carroll, who helped lay the foundation for BVA's now more than 72 years of service to the nation's blinded veterans and their families. Blind hockey visits St. Louis. This article includes a photo of BVA blind hockey coach Bruce Porter, who was wearing a dark sweatshirt and baseball cap, giving the thumbs up. To his right, blinded veteran Jim Sadecki, wearing a polo shirt and sunglasses, smiles as they travel to St. Louis. The text of the Blind Hockey Visits St. Louis article begins with the following. BVA Hockey is hard at work after a successful Tri-Blind Hockey event in St. Louis last month. Coach Bruce Porter flew to St. Louis with 10 sets of hockey equipment, blind hockey pucks, and other gear to be donated to the new blind hockey team. Blinded veteran Big Jim Sadecki flew in from Connecticut for the event that brought together the top visually impaired veterans and athletes from around the St. Louis metro area. After a delay at the airport, Porter hopped in a large cab with all the equipment and met Sadecki on site for the start of the Tri-Blind Hockey program. There were lots of questions, so they started with a meeting to explain the game, rules, history, and safety instructions. They helped the new visually impaired athletes suit up in hockey gear and headed for the ice. The media was on hand for the event that was held in conjunction with USA Hockey, Leveling the Playing Field, and World's Fair Park, St. Louis. An article with a video of the event is on CBS St. Louis website here, https://4/CBSLocal.com/07//2017//st-louis-plays-inaugural- blind-hockey-game /. The first 30 minutes, Coach Porter ran an instructional clinic. Then, with the help of Sadecki and volunteers, they organized the athletes into teams and played St. Louis's inaugural blind hockey game. St. Louis has the potential to have a successful blind hockey program, Porter says. With our VA adaptive sports grants, the Blinded Veterans Association will be playing blind hockey here for many years to come, he said. Next month, Porter, along with the BVA blind hockey players, will attend the Blind Hockey Summit in Pittsburgh, followed by another tri-blind hockey event in New York City. Everyone is excited about the showcase game after the New York City event on October 28th at 7:30 p.m. Skating and playing hockey is one of the only things that I felt freedom, Sadecki says. I'm able to do it by myself. I don't have to hold on to anybody, and I have a blast doing it, he said. All of the hockey equipment, time on the ice, and coaching are provided for visually impaired veterans to learn to skate and play blind hockey through the VA grant. We hope to build 4 strong teams in the coming year as we train visually impaired athletes nationwide and select a national team to play in an epic USA-Canada match. Soldiers on the Water. This article includes a photo of BVA Emerald Coast President Darrell Goldsmith, pictured center, as he is assisted off the Windwalker II, all smiles after a day-long fishing trip during the 5th annual Soldiers on the Water event. Darrell is being assisted by 2 men on a dock. Pictured behind are more participants on the boat. The article reads, 8 wounded veterans gathered on a dock at Destin Harbor and talked jovially as a man sliced fillets from the white snapper and vermilion they caught during a fishing trip hosted by the Emerald Coast Association of Realtors. I caught 21 snapper, and I caught about 8 or 9 bait fish before that, and it was just another exciting day. Great crew, great boat, and a lot of fun, said Darrell Goldsmith, a former Marine who was blinded by gas during the Iran hostage crisis. The 5th annual Soldiers on the Water event was designed to better integrate permanently wounded veterans into the community. The 4-hour trip in the Gulf of Mexico began at 8 a.m. and returned with a catch the veterans later ate at Brotula's Seafood House and Steamer, a restaurant abutting the dock. The veterans had their choice of fried, blackened, or grilled. There was a bond there that was hard to fathom, and we found that for many of them, they didn't have to talk about their troubles, they didn't have to do anything except fish, said Joe Morgan, the chairman of Soldiers on the Water. And that really became the focus of it, making sure it wasn't about us. It wasn't a pity party. It was something we were doing for them to give them a good day, he said. The veterans who joined the trip were primarily part of the Emerald Coast's chapter of the Blinded Veterans Association. Others, like Vincent McClendon, an Army sergeant during the Gulf War, accompanied his brother-in-law. It was great. I would love to do it again. I had a really good time with all these guys, and we really enjoyed ourselves. I caught about 7 fish, McClendon said. We want to get them back out on the water doing something they love. It's engaging. It activates all of their senses because it's tactile, said Melinda Vasquez, a realtor at Coldwell Banker in Destin. The Emerald Coast Association of Realtors is everybody on the Emerald Coast from Panama City to Pensacola. It's the whole board of realtors all the way across, and it started as a leadership development program. We decided that we needed to do something for our local community, especially combat wounded vets after the last couple of conflicts, that we needed to give back to our community. They buy houses here, they need services, and this is just a way for us to give back to the community, she said. Georgia Soccer Camp prepares Georgia vets. 5 Georgia area blinded veterans attended the Clemson University Soccer Camp this past July 26th through 30th. This was the first soccer camp of its kind to be held. The program consisted of individuals with TBI/PTSD, as well as vision impairment. Earlier this year, a message was sent to VIS coordinators to disseminate to all veterans on their roles. This was a first-come, first-accepted to the program. Luckily, Regional Group President Jesse J. Jones, Jr., Secretary Elizabeth Holmes, and member Thomas Livingston were accepted to the program. The latter 2 are members of the BVA Columbus chapter. The United States Association of Blinded Athletes, USABA, started a new program aimed at visually impaired veterans to participate in local adaptive sports. This involved the local parks and recreation community. Veterans are trained, licensed, and with assistance from the local community, a program can be established. USABA, in conjunction with Clemson University, then hosted the first adaptive soccer camp. The highly professional, motivated coaches taught on the field, hands-on, and in a classroom environment. They were very receptive to all needs of the veterans, regardless of disabilities. This was not an easy course. It was fast-paced and highly motivating, leading all to do well. The course consisted of classroom and field training. At successful completion of the course, the student received an F&E license to coach youths up through the age of 11. The camp was exciting and informative about other adaptive sports and will lead to enriching the vision-impaired child to new lengths, said Jesse. The camp was funded by the Department of Veterans Affairs Adaptive Sports Grant. All veterans should take advantage of the Adaptive Sports Program. Contact your VIS coordinator for information regarding other sports camps available. Auxiliaries View by Edna Dixon. Edna's Auxiliaries View column also comes accompanied by a small head and shoulders photo. From what can be viewed, Edna appears to be wearing an elegant dress. The visibly lovely earrings also make her appear to be formally dressed. She is smiling faintly in the photo. There is no caption. This article also includes 2 photos from the BVA 72nd National Convention. Shown first, a photo of BVA Auxiliary National Reporter Edna Dixon wearing a black dress suit with her BVA Auxiliary officer cap on, speaking with Auxiliary member Sherry Bates, pictured right, who was wearing a dress and long white sweater with her hair pulled back. At the end of the article, the photo included is of the BVA Auxiliary National Officers prior to their swearing in at the BVA Awards Banquet. Left to right, President Sandy Krasnodemsky, Vice President Pam Hogan, Reporter Edna Dixon, Secretary Benjamin Holmes, and Treasurer Carl Heitinen. Also pictured in the background at the head table during the ceremony, Bridget Jones, Center, at the podium, Executive Director Al Avina, and pictured in the background on the right, past National President Dale Stamper. The article entitled Auxiliaries View reads as follows. Our 72nd convention was a wonderful success. The time passed much too fast as we renewed old friendships and made new friends. Sandy Krasnodemsky and I heard many positive comments about the BVAA's programs this year. Our speakers included Valerie Duffy, VIS coordinator from Idaho, Kelly Golden, Bros from Spokane, Washington, Wade Davis and Christina Hitchcock from the National Office, Deborah Gilley, Chief, Biloxi BRC, and Dr. April Foreman, National Suicide Prevention Specialist. On Friday morning, the members enjoyed a fun hour with jokes read by various members and 2 craft projects, prayer beads, and a picture entitled The Joys of Friendship. We appreciate the speakers, but wish to acknowledge the ladies who assisted behind the scenes. Without their help, things would not have moved with such efficiency. Our location for the silent auction could not have been better. We had the ballroom on the corner of the intersecting halls, and all the BVA meetings were on one side or the other. Thanks to Christina Hitchcock for this wonderful arrangement. The silent auction added $1,969, the ticket raffle $869, and donations of $1,100 to our scholarship fund. Thanks to everyone who donated items. Many items had robust bidding until exactly 12 noon on Thursday. This made for an exciting auction. The board meets by conference call 4 times a year. If you have questions or concerns for the board, please email them to this reporter, and one of the board will reply. If you have not renewed your membership for the coming year, please do so. It is important for the membership records to be as accurate as possible. When you renew, your email address is noted and corrected. This is very important as letters and news of interest is sent to all members several times a year. When no email is available, letters must be sent by U.S. Postal Service and can be quite expensive. The convention this year attracted many new people. I had the pleasure of interviewing several of the new BVAA members on what they expected from this new experience. Shown in the picture to the right is Sherry Bates from the Oklahoma group. She stated that she was interested in learning about the duties of her new position as secretary, meeting new BVAA friends, and enjoying the program presentations. I spoke briefly with her before the banquet on Friday night, and she was delighted by her experiences in Jacksonville and looks forward to the next convention. A note from Sandy Krasnodemsky, our national president. As president of the National BVAA, I am very pleased with our new board. Our board members are dedicated to the needs of the BVAA membership. We desire to keep our members informed and would like to hear about any activities your regional group is doing. As Edna mentioned, the speakers at the convention have been well received and give a new insight into helping the caregiver. Have a great autumn season. Special note: in each issue, the last item will be a thought to ponder. For this one, it is as follows. What if something happened to you and you needed 24-hour care? Who then takes care of your loved one? New and Improved JAWS by Humberto Rodriguez. JAWS is changing not only the version designation, but also the installation procedure. Beginning with the new version, JAWS 2018, these two characteristics will closely resemble Windows, which is itself imitating Apple in such a way that future updates will not require a complete software installation, but will rather use a modular system and update only affected areas, thereby making new updates much faster and easier. The installation software for JAWS 2018 will also be much simpler than the ones hitherto used and will not require the installation of running time JAWS, nor will it require JAWS to be closed before installation. In addition to JAWS being more responsive to Windows 10 Creator and future Windows updates, there are several major changes in JAWS 2018 that are significant, principally the following. 1. JAWS will now support Microsoft Edge, albeit incidental prestations such as Flexible Web will follow in future updates. 2. Optical Character Recognition, OCR, will now permit JAWS users to navigate File Explorer. While the focus is on a graphic file that contains text, i.e. a JPEG screenshot of a window or a PDF image file, one can use the contextual menu to perform JAWS OCR on the graphics file, or, alternatively, press Insert spacebar and then O, followed by F. One can then save the text if desired. 3. Virtual cursor verbosity will perform much better on web pages. 3 levels of the verbosity can be adjusted globally as well as for individual URLs. And 4th, if installed, JAWS will offer the 3 new English US Microsoft Mobile voices, as well as whatever else Microsoft offers in other languages. This is in addition to Eloquence and the Nuance Vocalizer expressive voices. Hurricane Harvey and the District 6 Director Report by Thomas Zampieri. This article includes 3 photos. Pictured first is the floodwaters in front of the house of a blinded veteran. The water can be seen completely covering the roads and ground, reaching all houses pictured. Also included are photos of BVA members from Houston and their spouses meeting with representatives from FEMA in a classroom-type setting. The full text of the Hurricane Harvey and the District 6 Director Report begins with the following. On August 28th, the weather forecasters warned of a tropical storm named Harvey that was growing in strength and heading towards the Gulf Coast. By Wednesday, it had grown to a Category 3 hurricane and was gathering force to directly hit southeastern Texas. Even worse, because of a strong front, Harvey was predicted to stall in eastern Texas for up to 5 days. The locals in Houston knew trouble was coming in regards to possible widespread flooding. As many BVA members and families have since heard on the national news, Harvey will go down as having the most rainfall of any American storm, shattering all records with a total of 51.5 inches of rainfall in just over 4 days. Countless homes, roads, highways, and businesses were flooded, causing the loss of many lives. The Greater Houston Regional Group of BVA was at ground zero of this storm for 5 days of rain, wind gusts of 145 miles an hour, and witness to 790 billion gallons of rainfall hitting our region in the first 3 days, the equivalent of all the water going over Niagara Falls for 15 days. BVA members were being flooded out of their homes and moved to evacuation centers. First responders, fire, police, Coast Guardsmen, and volunteers were working nonstop to rescue those caught in the rising floodwaters, including 1,800 blind or low-vision veterans in this small area. I've been coordinating with BVA National on the rising toll as all of this was taking place, and the executive director suggested that we establish a BVA Emergency Relief Fund as a first attempt to meet our motto, Blinded Veterans, Helping Blinded Veterans. Within 24 hours, the BVA social media and website announced that BVA National would take donations to help cover this massive disaster and provide assistance to those impacted. Starting with phone calls and emails to the VA Medical Center Visor staff, We started planning for a Greater Houston Regional Group BVA meeting on Saturday, September 9th. Members impacted could get information on various city, county, state, and federal agency programs to assist them. The task of rebuilding shattered lives began immediately with the knowledge that no one organization would be able to do everything. But by working in cooperation with the City of Houston's Mayor's Office for the Disabled and other local officials, we brought together the expertise and organizations that could help our fellow blinded veterans and their families. The resulting stories are amazing, as many veterans around Texas use social media to gather volunteer rescue groups. Iraq and Afghanistan war veterans drove hundreds of miles with boats and high-wheeled vehicles, bringing emergency equipment, water and food supplies to affected areas, and performed numerous rescues. They arrived with one purpose only: to save the lives of fellow Texans. The volunteers know that it will take a long time to get homes rebuilt and to get lives back to a normal routine, and that it requires neighbors helping Texans in this time of need to start that process moving forward. This isn't the usual district director report on activities that occur over a region, and Harvey has for sure made us aware of how things can change so quickly and make us recognize that we must stand together to make things better. In future BVA bulletins, we will have photographs and updates on the status of things here in Houston. We thank everyone for all your emails and calls of concern. From the field staff by Ed Eckroth. A thumbnail head and shoulder shot of Ed accompanies this section. He is wearing a dark sport coat and sunglasses. Also included is one photo of the participants in the Veteran Service Officer training provided at the 72nd National Convention. The session included 12 participants and was led by BVA National Staff members Wade Davis and Hallie Smith. The full text of the From the Field Staff section begins with the following: Becoming a Volunteer National Service Officer, VNSO. BVA recognizes that many blinded veterans have a passion for helping other blind veterans. Do you have free time on your hands? Are you interested in learning how to assist claimants in the preparation, presentation, and prosecution of claims for VA benefits? As an accredited service officer, you would learn how to provide complete claims service, which is a representation of each claimant requesting assistance from the initiation of a claim until the completion of any potential administrative appeal. If this is something that interests you, please contact our training coordinator /VNSO liaison, Hallie Smith, at Hallie, that's HALLIE, .smith2, the number 2, at va.gov, or call 844-250-5180 toll-free. 1. The VNSO must be a BVA member or auxiliary member of good character and reputation, and he or she must demonstrate an ability to represent claimants before the VA, working for not less than 1,000 hours annually, which is a minimal of 20 hours per week. 2. The VNSO must successfully complete a course of training and an examination which have been approved by a regional council with jurisdiction for the state, and will receive either regular supervision and monitoring or annual training to assure continued qualification as a representative in the claim process. BVA accepts the NVLSP's basic training course and certification to meet the initial requirement of training and examination. http://www.nvlsp.org/store/the-basic-for-veterans-benefits. 3. The VNSO will need to establish an office at the local VAMC or VBA regional office. BVA prohibits any VNSO from conducting claims work from their home. 4. The VNSO will send a copy of all claims submitted to the FSP Resource Center for review to meet supervision and training regulations set by VA regulations. 5. The VNSO will be subject to review by the Supervising National Field Service Training Coordinator and National Director, FSP, to ensure the VNSO meets VA requirements of accreditation. At any time it is determined the VNSO is not maintaining 1,000 hours or is not demonstrating an adequate ability to represent claimants before the VA, his or her accreditation will be revoked. And 6. The VNSO will be required to report their hours to their NFSO and National on a monthly basis. Of note, World of Visually Impaired highlighted in weekly program. Blind and Beyond Radio Show is a program for individuals interested in learning about the world of the visually impaired, as well as the delights and challenges of how to live successful and productive lives. The show is sponsored by Blindfold Games, a venture that creates audio games for the visually impaired, with dozens of games for the iPhone, iPad, and iPod. Innovator Marty Schultz has created companies that design games for play by thousands of the visually impaired worldwide. The games include casino games such as blackjack and bingo, card games such as Crazy Eights and Rummy, puzzle games like Simon and Color Crush, television games similar to Wheel of Fortune and Word Ladder, and active games such as bowling and pinball. Originating on Sundays in Orlando, Florida from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time on WOKB 1680 AM, the program is also streamed live at WOKRadio.com. Listeners can also tune in on the Victor Reader stream through Internet Radio or on their smartphones via the TuneIn Radio app. It's also possible to call 518-712-0057 and listen to the show live right from one's phone without using any app. Audio Information Services Open World to Blind. BVA member Sean Wilbur, Nebraska Regional Group, has recommended that BVA members more seriously consider utilizing the wealth of information offered by the International Association of Audio Information Services, or IAAIS. IAAIS connects and supports organizations for people with disabilities worldwide. The radio reading services the organization supports still includes 32 locations in North America. There are more than 100 worldwide. In almost all cases, the services are provided free of charge. Although vision loss is not the only reason people may not be able to read normal printed material, it is still the biggest factor. Almost 1.5 million Americans are legally blind, and of those, over 90% do not read Braille. Well over 20 million Americans have experienced significant vision loss, and that number rises every day. Over 6 million Americans over 65 have vision loss that prevents them from reading. But there are 9 million people in the 45 to 64 age range with vision loss. As these baby boomers age, the numbers with vision loss will likely dramatically exceed those of the present generation of seniors. Volunteer readers in computer speech can read daily newspapers, magazines, and best-selling books to thousands of people at a time at a low cost through audio information services. These services can include closed-circuit radio broadcasts, dial-in telephone newspaper systems, personal recording and Internet broadcasting, and program archives. IAAIS has worked with Ubiquity and National Public Radio in the development of new digital technology that expands the capabilities of HD radio to serve the needs of the blind. In remembrance, the Blinded Veterans Association deeply regrets the passing of the following blinded veterans: Alabama Regional Group, James O. Williams; Arizona Central Northern Regional Group, Charles K. Bauer; Alexander Etros; Arkansas Regional Group, Norbert B. Sobieski; Emerald Coast Regional Group, Eunice Shanks; Florida Regional Group, Charles Asaro; Edgar C. Barr; Donald Clary; William E. DeGeorge; Robert J. Earnshaw; Robert E. Ellis; Patrick Forshee; William Gaydon; Armando Gregorio; Frederick Harrison; John W. Hill; James Nelson Lozon; Robert G. Lee; Hyman D. Melman; Charles W. Moon; Nathaniel Moran; Delmar F. New; Arnold L. Pring; Claire Shingler; Georgia Regional Group, Sylvan Chasen; Robert F. Gaylor; Thomas P. Glenn; Thomas Murphy; Leslie L. Ponder; Greater Houston Regional Group, Jesse R. Beasley; James Bird; Jerry Caldwell; John Castillo; George H. Hanna; Lester A. Holmes; Robert J. Jones; Samson Jones; Joseph B. Christukos; Glenn D. McMullen; Steve Munoz; John L. Ogier; Joseph Page; Michael A. Powers; Ozzie Simmons; Charles Underhill; David Villarreal; Horace Walker, Jack I. Wilt. Heartland Regional Group, Thomas L. Campbell, Jack L. Seckman, Anthony Simon. Illinois Regional Group, Leonard F. Ray. Indiana Regional Group, Ralph V. Eldridge. Iowa Regional Group, Roland Bleuer. Kentuckiana Regional Group, Donald M. Durham, Goody Ray Deskins, Lonnie Gay, Harry E. Glaze, Charles M. Green, Lawrence Jesberger, Jerry W. Peck, Robert M. Tomset. Louisiana Regional Group, John G. Danko, Larry L. Walker, Alvin J. Segar. Maine Regional Group, John W. Roberts. Michigan Regional Group, Ernest L. Bach, Thomas M. Drianis, Gene F. Forsyth, Leonard C. Herman, Sanji Kumoto, Sebastian L. Morfino, Joseph Pardo, Robert S. Prater. Mid-Atlantic Regional Group, William L. A. Brown, Albert C. Gilder, Roy Arnold Jenkins, Austin L. Riggs. Minnesota Regional Group, Gerald A. Larson, Arthur Lopes, Charles E. Penn, Charles Zubich. Mississippi Regional Group, Lester McHenry. Mountain State Regional Group, Ricky G. Lett, Roy E. Pfeiffer. New Hampshire Regional Group, John L. Black. New Jersey Regional Group, James H. Barth, Frank Comparado, John Lopez, James Moss, William R. Santa. New Mexico Regional Group, Orrin F. Bailey, Daniel W. Bird, Benny Chavez, Margaret H. Garrity, Bob Greggio, Joe Lorenzano, Charles W. Voles. New York Regional Group, Norman Blumstein, Weldon Cooper, Earl E. Finch, Henry J. Miller, Guan G. Wu. North Carolina Regional Group, Frank J. Dallas, James N. Hamilton, Harry A. Lind, William Lee Miller, Everett White. Ohio Regional Group, John A. Bryce, Ernest J. Respress. OKI Regional Group, Lawrence Goodall, Alexander Gregory, Floyd Hobbs, Imelda L. Lewis. Oklahoma Regional Group, Leonard L. Parks. Pennsylvania Regional Group, Andrew S. Lavelle, Douglas M. McCrindle, Rebecca E. Quick. Puerto Rico Regional Group, Rigoberto Bayamia de Jesus, Hector Hernandez. Rhode Island Southeast Mass Regional Group, George Morangian. Rocky Mountain Regional Group, Harry Brennan, James H. Gilbert, Harvey Hatz, James H. LaRue. San Diego Regional Group, Earl W. Ford, David L. Hopkins, John F. Lingenfelter, Paul Tiroff. South Carolina Regional Group, William A. Publicover. South Texas Regional Group, Homer B. Kelly, Herbert W. Ladd, Roy O. Millam. Southern Arizona Regional Group, Waddell F. Froelich, John A. Seymour. Southern California Regional Group, Daniel Callahan, Robert D. Kemp. Southern Nevada Regional Group, Everly Hallis. Spokane Inland Empire Regional Group, Charles V. Johnson. Utah Regional Group, Sylvan Alcabes, Carl W. Bird, Merrill G. Jensen. Washington Regional Group, John Dallin Arn, Donald L. Deese. Guy H. Gallipo, Leo G. James, William H. Roner, Herbert F. Satterley. White River Junction Regional Group, Fletcher Anderson, James R. Ike, Edwin T. Frizzell, Wilfred A. Ledger. Wisconsin Regional Group, Gerald D. Lincoln, Alvin Witt. And BVA members at large, Durwood D. Eisenberg. Final thought. BVA national conventions have traditionally provided an ideal forum to publicly thank VA employees who have been a model of service to blinded veterans and their families, especially when VA national meetings have been conducted during the same week. At this year's Father Carol Luncheon, BVA recognized Visual Impairment Service Team Coordinator Evelyn Heatwall of Richmond, Virginia, and Blind Rehabilitation Outpatient Specialist Kelly Golden of Spokane, Washington, with certificates of appreciation. Pictured left to right, National BRS Director Gail Watson, Kelly Golden, and past certificate recipient Valerie Duffy, VIS Coordinator at the Boise, Idaho VA Medical Center. And this concludes the reading of the September-October 2017 BVA Bulletin.